Hey everybody, Janae Spry here, productivity expert, systems expert, and your host of the Doer Entrepreneurs community. And today we are talking about email hacks. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is really, really important, is that email is not instant messaging. Not instant messaging, okay? A lot of people use email as instant messaging, and what I mean by that is the email comes in and they immediately reply with like a few words, and you end up going back and forth, and you create this huge time suck of just wasting time over and over, and it's like this cycle. Okay, so instead we don't want to do that. Do not want to act like email is instant messaging. So we want to triage our emails. So the first thing is sometimes emails do require an immediate response, but most of the time they don't. So after you accept that email is not instant messaging, you're going to have three categories. You're going to have your now category, your today category, and your this week category. I personally have 2 time blocks a week, 1 hour each for the this week category, but it's up to you how you want to do that. But now, today, and this week. And the reason you want to do that is because most people have this feeling that they need to reply immediately. So if you reply to your today emails in the now category, so you're replying immediately, there's a really good chance that person's going to reply to you immediately, and then you're going to feel obligated, and so on and so on. So by delaying email until a little bit later in the day, something like that, you're going to really bypass a lot of these time-wasting events, and occasionally people figure out the answers to their own questions, which helps even more when you don't have to reply at all. So that's the first thing. But we're really not going to focus on that, so that's really all I'm going to say about that. In terms of email hacks, what we're really going to talk about is how to organize your inbox and then the actual rules you can set up. I use G Suite, highly recommend it, but if you don't use G Suite, it's okay to look for how you can do this in your own email systems. So we're going to take a look at that right now. So this is my inbox. And you'll see that I use the Smart Inbox feature for G Suite, and you can find that in the settings. So you'll see all settings, and then down here, inbox type, I have priority inbox. So that's what you want, is the priority inbox if you're using this. And then the way I have it set up is by the tags I just described to you. So now, obviously, I don't need a tag for that because I'm replying to the email immediately. But instead, you have unread at the top right here. Then I have my action required today emails. Then I have my action required. So this would be this week. That's what I use for this week. Then everything else. So you'll see that basically it goes, if it's unread, it's at the top. Then today, then action required this week, then everything else. And the reason I have the unread come on top is because that's sort of my triage. And that's what I look at to see, am I wasting time on newsletters? Am I just marking things as read for no reason whatsoever? So you want to create a system of rules. So these are really the hacks that I was talking about. So we've got the email set up, and then these rules are going to be your hacks. So the first thing you want to do is you want to unsubscribe if you never read the emails or you don't actually want that information. Part of the way you can tell that is if every time you get that email, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to unsubscribe for this. And then you just mark it as read and forget about it until it comes in your inbox again. You don't need that. You need to unsubscribe. I do a double check every single day because I have this unread emails on top, and I just mark, if I'm marking something as read, I'm like, am I really going to read this later? Do I need this, or should I unsubscribe, or do I need a different system for that? And I'm going to talk about those different systems in just a second. And the next thing is, if you want to read the information, but only occasionally, so maybe once a month, once every few weeks, something like that, and you're actually going to schedule that on your time block schedule or on your calendar, then you want to create a rule. So let's look at how you do that. So I'm going to open all my settings. And you can create rules in pretty much every email system. I'm just demonstrating this with G Suite. So we're going to go to filters and blocked addresses. So you're going to see I have a lot of these rules. And you're going to see that I have these different down here. So I have just mark as read. Then I have apply a label. So for example, I'm going to go down here to my apply label list. So what this means is I belong to a lot of newsletters, and the purpose of the newsletter, me belonging to a newsletter, is actually because I want to see how other people are using email marketing. So I don't actually want that person's information. I just want to see how they're using the list itself. So for those, I automatically mark as read, and I apply a label I call list. When do I ever click on the label list and check through those emails? 100% the only time is if I'm writing an email to send out to my list and I need a little inspiration for the subject line or the body or something like that. I'll open up this label and I've got tons of examples of all different types of emails where people are using email marketing. Very helpful. I am not there to read the emails themselves and get the information. So it's a really, really important distinction. Now, if on the other hand, I sign up for a list and I do actually want to read that person's emails occasionally, but I just need them to not be cluttering up my inbox in between emails from clients and things like that, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to give them a dedicated label. So you see here, I have mark as read and apply label Gary V. Now, in this particular instance, it's also because I want to see how he uses his email list, but I've been really interested to see how he does it, and so I want his separated. Now, you could also use the same strategy if you really love an email list. Like, for example, obviously, I'm sure you love my email list, so you could give me my own label. So you mark it as read, and then you give the own label, so you actually have it on the side and you can actually see all of the emails from that specific entity, every single email, and you can go through and read multiple ones at once. All right, so those are really, really important. So first we want to unsubscribe if you never read it and you don't want the information. Then if you want the information but only occasionally, you want to go ahead and set up a rule where it's automatically marked as read, so it's going to skip that top section, and then apply a label. So deciding on the label is how you figure out what your most important stuff is. If you want the information on a regular basis, but they send a lot of emails, or you just really want it separated, then apply a dedicated label. So just like I did here with Gary V. And then make sure you are checking your rules every single day when you're doing your email. And if you end up marking as read or deleting certain types of emails, remind yourself to unsubscribe. Take the 2 seconds to unsubscribe instead of just doing that over and over and over again. And then the other thing I want to talk about is I do have a label called events and reading, which is where I put blog posts and things like that for reading. But one thing I really found out is that by using that label, if I don't actually schedule time on my calendar to go and look at the events and reading label, I read it 0% of the time. So make sure you're scheduling time in your calendar to check all of your labels. Otherwise, there's really no point to having the label in the first place. All right, so that's it for today's video. Organize your inbox and set up those rules so you can start automating your email process. All right, I'd love to hear how you do it below. Any questions, comment below and let me know. I would love to help you out. Thanks, guys.